Good morning and welcome to Kaleideum. I'm Margaret Pike, Chair of Kaleideum's Board of Directors, and I would like to thank everyone for joining us this morning. We're very excited to be able to share something positive during these extraordinarily challenging times. Today, we have representatives from the media here in the room with us at a safe social distance, and many of you are joining us online. We thank you all. In the summer of 2016, SciWorks and the Children's Museum of Winston-Salem merged to form one entity, Kaleideum. After a thoughtful due diligence process, it became clear to the boards of both organizations that we could do more for our constituents if we joined together. With closely aligned missions, the two museums realized that by merging, not only could we create a more accessible and more cost-efficient organization, but also one that is more capable of meeting the needs of our diverse community. We created a new name, a new mission, and a new vision, but we needed a new home. We needed a building where we could fulfill that new mission, a building with inspiring indoor and outdoor spaces that will engage visitors of all ages, a building with exhibit halls designed to create opportunities to interact with one another and learn from each other, a building in a location that is accessible to everyone. It's been a long time coming, but we are finally starting to see the tangible results of years of hard work and dedication by so many members of our community. In fact, we have a short video that we'd like to share with you now so that you can hear some of their voices. Let's roll that video.
This is one of the biggest and best opportunities in front of us that any community could ever ask for.
Kaleideum in the center of downtown really enhances that idea of play, to be able to have that place and call it their own. This is the time for that. At Kaleideum, we've identified 3 priorities that we really like to focus on, and those priorities are the foundational skills, things like literacy, communication, collaboration. We also think about STEM, the science, technology, engineering, and math, the skills of the future and what we're going to need, and we also think about the arts. And the thread that links all of those together is this idea of access, the idea that everyone should have and will have the opportunity to practice and learn all of these things.
Play is really the context where people learn to figure it out. That's actually the discovery part of how people learn, well, what could it be like if it were different? What if we turned it upside down? I wonder if it will hold water if it goes the other way. All of this is essentially creative learning, but also problem solving.
What I see as an educator is if we get this right, we are beginning to reinvent or invent what education in 21st century and beyond should look like.
Experiential learning has the opportunity to do something that formal learning can't, because you're engaging with it in a hands-on way. So you're not just reading about it, you're not just hearing it, but you're truly doing it. We believe here at Kaleideum, when you have the opportunity to do that with people who are different from you and people who have a different perspective from you, then we have the opportunity to internalize that learning and then to share that learning.
What's interesting is that in a lot of our existing businesses, science is important. I thoroughly believe that we need to grow PhD scientists. We need to have those tools that are outside of school, that complement what goes on in school. And I think that family engagement piece of that is really important.
Having a place like Kaleideum that's safe, it provides an opportunity for children to interact with their peers from other parts of the community, to learn and to grow together. I believe that we are a community of inclusiveness, and Kaleideum is definitely the melting pot for our children.
You know, part of building a community is dreaming, having a vision for what can be. When you think about our location downtown, we're creating more access, more energy, more synergy. I mean, this is a no-brainer.
I know how much my girls enjoyed Kaleideum as it is now and as it was, 7, 8, 9 years ago. What I know about the plans for the new Kaleideum, I know that even though my daughters will be probably in college and high school, then they're going to want to go back there. I know I'm going to want to go back there.
The
foresight that Kaleideum and the county had to pick the location of the old sheriff's building, I think, was paramount. So many different folks from around our community have access now, or will have access to, the new Kaleideum Museum.
When you look at other cities who have invested in a similar type product, it has been one of the singular most catalytic events in the development of their communities, and that has the opportunity to be the exact same thing in downtown Winston.
You can see, we would have never gotten this far without incredible public and private support from across this community. And throughout this entire process, we have benefited from one very important constant: the steady leadership and unwavering passion of our executive director, Elizabeth Dampier. It's my pleasure to introduce her now.
Thank you, Margaret. I appreciate that so much. It is such a pleasure to be here today and to finally be in this place that has felt like such a journey. I tell people all the time that we are definitely on a journey towards what we are creating, both for Kaleideum and what we want to create for our community and for the families that are here every day and those families that come to visit. We're so thankful again for the opportunity to be able to deliver this product and to work with everyone to have the opportunity to offer this type of educational programming in our community. It's a strange time that we're living in. We're all dealing with things that are new, and we're all dealing with challenges, and we're all dealing with opportunities. And I think that that is something that, as a science center, as a place of exploration, as an arts institution, these are challenges that we are asking families and children to deal with every day. Here at Kaleideum, we talk about that as kaleidoscopic thinking. It's something that someone in the Harvard Business School came up with many, many years ago, and it's this idea of holding these contrasting things and being able to manage all of these thoughts and being able to think outside of the box and do things a little bit differently. And boy, are we all doing that now as we go through these times. So we're so happy to be able to unveil the exterior of the building. But where are we right now? If you've been downtown lately, some of you may not have been out very much, but if you have, you will notice that the old sheriff's building is no longer. So now we have some flat land there as we begin to see this change and build this excitement. We're also in the DD phase of the architect's work. So there's some more things that are happening, and we're very excited to know that in the next several months, we'll be able to share some exhibit designs and some other things with you all as we begin to get a taste and a flavor of how this is going to be in Winston-Salem. As we think about these challenges and as we thought about the new building, we really thought about where could we be, where we could make the biggest impact on this community and with this community. And this new location in the heart of downtown really allows us to do that. There are challenges with our current location. The Kaleideum downtown building is small, it gets crowded pretty quickly, and obviously in our new days of social distancing, it becomes a little bit challenging. The North Campus is an area of the county that's very difficult to get to easily with the current bus system line. It's a county-owned building that is quite frankly getting a little old now, and it's expensive to maintain. So being able to be somewhere in the heart of downtown that allows us to provide this easy access for our entire community to have the opportunity to practice these skills and to have fun experiences and make memories is super exciting for us. I am also very excited to introduce Don Martin, who is one of our Forsyth County Commissioners and also on the board at the museum, and who has been a great champion of this project for us, both as a partner and as an individual person. So thank you, Don.
Thanks, Elizabeth, and good morning. I want to begin by commending Elizabeth and her staff for basically this phenomenal response after both museums were closed due to the pandemic. Shortly after both museums closed, the whole state is shut down. The Kaleideum staff began producing online science experiences for families and for teachers in the Winston-Salem Forsyth County schools. And that meant an awful lot to them as they attempted to respond. In addition, we have a very active summer program camp going on right now that is safe for students, great attention to the details, and I want to commend Elizabeth and her staff for that. The partnership between the county and the former Nature Center and then SciWorks has a very long history, almost 50 years. And essentially, the county provided the building and the boards for the Nature Center and SciWorks handle the operation. And that arrangement for many, many years. And essentially the transition from SciWorks to Kaleideum that both Margaret and Elizabeth have talked about it's been very seamless. And we basically have enlarged the opportunities from the former just simple SciWorks out in the northern part of the county to now both the locations in the city and the county. So several years ago, as actually both Margaret and Elizabeth have talked about, the Kaleideum board realized we have basically a building in the North Campus, the old SciWorks building, that's outlived its usefulness as a museum. And quite frankly, the Children's Museum facility, that former Children's Museum facility, is simply not large enough you cannot expand it to accommodate the whole center here. So the SciWorks board began looking for a new location, and that process was not short, and has eventually settled on and agreed upon the old sheriff's building, which has turned out, and which is, as was said, is no more today. But after so as we move forward with that ability is to locate Kaleideum, consolidated new Kaleideum downtown, provides that experience that I think is way more convenient for all families. And in fact, it provides not just a learning venue for families, children, school kids, but it provides this economic development opportunity for our county. So as visitors come in, there is another place to go. I mean, it's walking distance from Old Salem. So once the county approved the $30.5 million for the construction project, an awful lot of work began. And particularly one of the early sort of dilemmas, if you will, is that the old sheriff's building, that site, that corner is adjacent to Liberty Plaza. And the city had a project plan to renovate Liberty Plaza, pretty extensive. So here we are, we're trying to look at foundational work and trying to look at Liberty Plaza. Here we've got potentially two contracts going on at the same time with two contractors. The city and the county have partnered together and said that is not a good plan, and actually have agreed to consolidate the two projects into one. So the city has provided $2 million to the county so that essentially the county will combine, supervise, manage both projects. And that is a sort of a more than a simple convenience. It creates a lot of finger pointing with two contractors working on the same project. And while the county is constructing the new facility, and as that begins shortly after we're going to see some initial things here in a few minutes, but when the actual building is actually finished during this time, basically the SciWorks board has been working very, very hard to raise a lot of money to be able to support the exhibits. And that work has been going on for some time. And as Elizabeth said, we'll see more details on that later. But I particularly want to acknowledge many of those partners. Particularly, I want to mention and in fact, I think they're in the materials, a list of all the contributors. But I do want to mention we're arranging from the state legislature, who sort of began with the gift. We've got a number of corporate and community pledges, and we also have individual pledges and donations. And I certainly want to thank everyone for that effort. And the journey to get to today has certainly not been easy, and it has been long. And I can tell you that when I ran for county commissioner in 2014, I was asked the very pointed question, are you in favor of actually having a museum location, a new facility for Kaleideum downtown? And so here we are 6 years later, and we're ready to actually participate in the reveal. So I'm as excited like everyone else. So thank you.
Thank you, Don. Again, I want to reiterate how thrilled we are to have the county as a partner in this process. It is so true that we feel both honored and blessed to have the relationship that we do with the county and with the county commissioners and with the city as well in this project. This project would not be going forward at the same level. It would not have the same type of broad appeal. It would not be able to have the same impact that it is going to have on this community without the future thought and without the strategic partnership that we have with both of those. So I do want to reiterate how important and thank them for their continued support of Kaleideum as we move forward. You know, this building, as we thought about the building, really is a visual manifestation of the values and identity of Kaleideum as a place where individuals of all ages can challenge themselves, push boundaries, ask questions, and engage with their surroundings. And as we think about these things all the way back to the beginning, the kaleidoscope became the image and the tool that really has guided us through this process, even all the way back to the name. You know, the kaleidoscope was invented by a Scottish scientist who did a lot with physical optics. But many of it, so it was known as a scientific instrument created by a scientist, yet most people think of it as a children's play toy. And yet when children look through it, this beautiful art image is created that is constantly changed by the control of individuals when they move it. So as a visual representation of Kaleideum, literally the name, kaleidoscope and museum, Kaleideum coming together, and then also thinking about, as I threw out earlier, kaleidoscopic thinking, holding these different ideas, but keeping something beautiful and using that. The kaleidoscope has become the image that we think of to really represent the museum. And not only has it done that through the values, through our mission, through our vision as we work to help create a strong educational ecosystem in this community, but it has also lent itself to the visual representation of the building and what the building will look like as well. So what I would like to do is to turn this over now to Chad Parker, who is the managing partner of the Raleigh Gensler office. Gensler also acts as the lead architect on this project. And I'm so excited to have him share a little bit more about the building. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. So having been a Winston-Salem native and grown up here, and kind of reflecting on the people of this city and their influence that they've had on me personally, I can say it's an honor and a highlight of my career to be able to be part of this project. We're creating a place that's going to shape the next generation. We're also creating a place that's going to bring the community together and really galvanize around that social connectivity. And so I can't say, got to thank my partners within the county and the museum, but I really want to say thank you to Stitch Design Shop, our local design partner here. We've got a shared DNA. The process has been amazing, and we're really proud of what we're going to give back to the community. So with that, I'm going to introduce Brad Burns, who's the design director of the Raleigh office in Winston.
Thanks. So as a person who's passionate about how architecture can improve the quality of our cities and bring our cities together in our communities and build up our communities, this project is one of the most just exciting parts of my career, a true highlight. And we all know that museums are catalysts for growth and thriving of cities. Children's museums are especially impactful to communities and cities. And we know all the great work that Kaleideum is already doing in Winston-Salem and the surrounding area, but we believe that this facility will enable and amplify Kaleideum's reach and impact. So I'd like to share just a little bit about the building itself. The project is located, as you've heard already, at the previous location of the Sheriff's Building. That's 3rd Street and Town Run Lane. It is flanked by 2 public spaces, Marshall Park to the north and Liberty Plaza to the east. This offers an amazing opportunity to bring the community together in public space and have a real front yard for the museum. It is also at a very unique position within the city. So the Arts and Cultural District to the north and a more civic and historic district to the south. So it's at this nexus right in the heart of Winston-Salem, which is highly accessible. The building perimeter, one of the important things about an urban building is that it's got to be impactful to its immediate surroundings and accessible. And this building being a place of interaction and learning, it's really important. And so the building has exhibits that are visible from the perimeter. There's a cafe located at the corner of Town Run Lane and 3rd Street that's accessible. And the main entrance is off of 3rd Street. There's also a group entrance that's separate from the main entrance off of Liberty Plaza, so that school groups can gather and sort of collect themselves before and after visits. One of the real highlights of the facility is an elevated rooftop experience. So this is a really unique opportunity to have an outdoor space on top of the building that's fully functional for the purposes of play, learning, inspiring our community, and having fantastic views of the surrounding area. So all of downtown and beyond can be seen from 2 levels of the rooftop. In terms of the exterior of the building, and really the whole idea of the building architecturally is grounded in the idea of experiencing places and spaces from diverse perspectives. And so in doing that, we've used 2 primary materials on the exterior. We've got a very smooth, colorful metal panels that are also complemented by highly textured precast concrete panels. And the geometric forms that Elizabeth mentioned and the effects of a kaleidoscope have really inspired the geometry of those precast panels. And the folding surfaces really capture light and create shade and shadow that varies across the course of the day and the seasons and varies based on your perspective. Through the innovative use of form and materials and color and light to provide these compelling visual effects, we believe that this really embodies the spirit of the City of Arts and Innovation and Kaleideum's mission, inspiring wonder, curiosity, and lifelong learning in our children and community for generations to come. So thanks so much for the opportunity to share with you. I'm going to introduce Adam Sebastian from Stitch Design Shop to share a little bit more.
Thank you, Brad. Want to welcome everyone that's joining us virtually. This is a little bit different experience for most of us. But myself personally, as Chad spoke about, kind of the joint DNA between Gensler and Stitch Design Shop. Chad and I have known one another for well over 20 years. We are both natives of Winston-Salem, and we share, some might say, an extreme passion for architecture, but we share a real passion for the community which raised us. And our firm, which is located here in downtown, we really set out to create spaces and environments that are transformative and impactful on the community. And I firmly believe that the new Kaleideum Museum is going to do just that. Sharing a personal story about what Kaleideum means to me is, as a child growing up in the Winston-Salem Forsyth County school system, I went on many field trips to the then Nature Science Center. And the impact that that museum had on me as a child, it informed my perspectives on how things got put together, how they were built. It really made me look through things through a different lens. And I always yearned for the times that I got to go to the Science Center, because I knew I was going to learn something new. I knew I was going to gain a different perspective. And I just really hope that this new museum will do the same things for my own children, not just mine, but for all the kids here in Winston-Salem and in the surrounding communities. This project is kind of vital to the city of the arts and innovation. Kaleideum shares that same aspiration to be innovative, to be of the arts, to be of the sciences. And this museum really does that. But it does it in a very welcoming and safe way. And I think it's going to go a long way in bringing our community together to where they can learn, but more importantly, they can dream together. And I think that's paramount. And I'd also like to both extend the thank you to Marcus and Tracy and Leanne and Elizabeth and all of the staff at Kaleideum, as well as Don and the county commissioners, Damon and James. We've assembled a really strong team for this project. It means a lot to our community. It means a lot to us. And so we're just thrilled with being able to finally reveal what all that hard work looks like. So thank you.
Thank you, Adam. Thank you, everyone. I hope that this little glimpse has gotten you as excited as we are. I think every time we think about this, we get a few new chills that come up as we start thinking about all of the opportunities that are ahead of us. So what we wanted to do at this time was open it up for questions. We have a few people in the room who may have questions, but we've also allowed for question and answer online as well. So there may be some questions. So I'm happy to see if there are any in the room, and then Leanne Woodruff is going to be handling some questions for us as well. So our hope is that we will be able to start construction about a year from now, and then we will actually be able to open in early 2023. So again, we're not quite there yet. I mean, it takes time to get there, so we're still on the journey. But at least we're getting there. We're getting closer. Indoor floor plans are coming. We're not quite ready to share those yet. We have been working on our exhibits. We have about 5 of those fully designed, and we are working on some of the others. So I would say stay tuned and let this be a teaser for the next exciting thing to come. Mm-hmm. Oh, I'm sorry. There was one, obviously the first question was asking about when we will reopen. The second question was asking about exhibits. So now the next question that we have is about what is our plan for the outdoor animals? And as we know, moving downtown into a more urban environment, there is less opportunity for us to bring the outdoor animals. So we are working on a plan that will allow us to rehome those animals in the appropriate way. However, that is not to say that we will not have plenty of animals with us. We will still be bringing more than 80 animals that are part of our animal collection with us to the downtown location. So animals will still be a part of the experience. They will still be a part of the education program. And we believe animals are an important part of learning and an important part of our program, and they will remain that way. We have a question about the planetarium. I'm very pleased to let you know that we will have a planetarium in the new location. In fact, a little insider baseball, we just signed the contract and approved that at our May board meeting. So the planetarium is definitely on its way. For those of you that love that part of the museum, it is not lost, it is still there. So we have a question about parking. And again, we know that moving into a downtown environment, that is one of the biggest questions that we get. So located behind the Kaleideum building, there is a parking deck. And so the primary parking, we are working with the owners of that parking deck to talk with them about how we can make it very bright and have some directional signage and make that a very easy way to park in the parking deck and then to be able to go straight to the Kaleideum building without ever having to cross a street. That's something that we also recognize. If you're coming with your family, that means that you probably have people of various ages coming with you. So thinking about how we get to the building safely and how we think about that from the minute you get into the parking lot is important for us too. So the plan will be that primarily people will use that parking deck.
There's a question online about how much space does the building have?
Okay, anyone handle that? I'm going to ask Brad, since that's a more building question.
Sure. The building is designed to have 72,000 square feet of indoor space. Certainly a portion of that is delegated for exhibits, but there are classrooms and other functions inside. The elevated rooftop space is currently designed about 13,000 square feet.
Stay right there. There is another question, specifically what is planned for the rooftop play space?
That's a good question. So it's currently still being designed. As Elizabeth mentioned, there are some exhibits that are completely designed and there are others that are still in process. And the exterior rooftop exhibit is one of those, but it's a mix of, it's functional programmatic space that is exhibit based. But it has dual purpose or multiple purposes for events as well, and generally just for rest opportunities for people to be able to move their bodies outside for all ages. It's not just for kids. This is meant for all ages of the community.
Another question, hopefully COVID will be a thing of the past, but are the lessons from it impacting the design and likely features, perhaps in regard to childcare and layout?
So that's a good question. We have been in a point right now where we're pricing the design development package, and that's been going on since the COVID virus has been an issue. And so this is something that we're talking about constantly as a design firm, publishing a lot of data about and guidance. And so we're taking that information, what we're learning really across the globe, and learning how we can apply that into the design once we start back in construction document phase. So it's a very important concern. Do you want to add anything, Elizabeth?
Any plans for an IMAX?
Not to my knowledge.
Will the museum use the Liberty Place for any exhibits or activities?
Liberty Plaza?
Yeah, the question. Yeah, Liberty Plaza, I'm sorry.
So the question is, how will Liberty Plaza be integrated to the museum? Will there be any activities or things like that? So Liberty Plaza, as a part of this project, is being visualized and imagined as a 24/7 publicly accessible park. So it will be available to everyone all the time. Kaleideum is working with the designers and is working with the county and the city to come up with what we would call our little snippets or little small experiences. So there might be things like a sensory garden. There might be a couple of playground pieces that are there. So there will be opportunities for families to be able to engage on the plaza as well. So think of it as, again, a plaza that is available for a nice stroll, to take a seat and enjoy your lunch if you want to eat outside or if you want to enjoy that with your family, but also as a space that that may be something that you can play with from time to time and enjoy. And what we hope is that that will whet your appetite and want to come in and play at the museum as well.
What is the proposed opening date?
The proposed opening date for us is early 2023.
What ages do you anticipate Kaleideum appealing?
The question is, to what ages do we believe that Kaleideum is appealing? We are definitely designing Kaleideum to appeal to all ages. We really think about how do we offer programming from birth through grandparent. It's one of the things that we often like to say is that Kaleideum is one of the places that can serve people from the time they are born until well into their golden years. So as we think about the new museum, we'll have an infant and toddler space. that will be designed particularly for our youngest visitors to be able to grow and develop and experience things. But also with the planetarium and with other programming and with the exhibits, it could be a great first date. It could be a great anniversary trip. I mean, there are all kinds of reasons why you might want to come out for Kaleideum for programs and for things like that. So I would hope to say that it's for all ages. The truth of that, inside of that, is that we understand that truthfully there are a lot of families, young families, that will enjoy this space. But again, there will be opportunities for folks of all ages at Kaleideum.
More online questions.
Are there, that's all the online questions that we have currently. Are there any other questions from the room? If not, then I would like to say thank you so much for everyone who joined in. Again, I hope that you are as excited as we are about the opportunities that are before us, the opportunities of our future, the things that are still to come, and the information that we'll be able to share in the future. And I would just say to you, please stay tuned because there's always more. And thank you again for tuning in today.